Hey, welcome back to our continuing series, Casting Visions. Today we have a really special guest, someone who I look up to and used to sort of report into once upon a time. Mr. Mike Edmonds is with us, and Mike, welcome to our third episode of Casting Visions.
Welcome,
Oh,
Mike.
thank you. Thank you, Philip and Brian. Great to see you both. I don't know about the reporting into thing. I think it was the other way around, but we can treat
No.
that as maybe a further conversation.
If such a thing as an org chart existed at that point in time, there would have been a dotted line of which many people, very smart people, were in your care. Tell us a little bit about you and your background so that you can establish some street cred for the folks paying attention at home.
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I live in a place called Chicago, a little town called Evanston, Illinois, where on the side, I'm an adjunct professor of product management through both a design school and an MBA program. My full-time gig, I recently joined Microsoft on their retail and consumer goods strategy team, where the domain that I help lead across all of our clients, across all of our customers, across industries is commerce and consumer engagement. So I pride myself on being a product person through and through, but also a facilitator and just super curious about trends and where the world is going.
And a self-professed newbie to future commerce, but I think you're coming up to speed real quick on the work that we're doing, and I really appreciate you taking the time. So today Brian, we had this idea that we should put some structure out into the world of how we come up with
Well, I mean, at
vision.
least for our audience, like I think normally when we come up with a vision, it's pretty chaotic and probably not as well documented as we want it to be. So the beauty of this is when we
Yeah.
do something for other people to consume, it forces you to get a little bit better about how you go about doing that. Of course, you and I are we just free flow so well. Bringing Mike in
We
is
have
just gonna
we have
it's gonna
never,
be
not once, typed directly into a published doc. That's never happened as we've
right.
written content. That's
I
We
love it.
definitely think about it beforehand. Um, but this time around, we did sort of commit that we're going to build this in public, and we're going to do this for real live, and that means elapsed time. And Mike, as you're facilitating, like actual literal minutes and seconds are going to go by where we're actually working in like a mural board, and we're gonna have a real facilitated session. And I think some people are going to get a whole lot out of this, and a lot of people are going to just skip 6-7 minutes ahead. But that's okay, because the thing I'm getting here is that we're going to work the process out in public, and part of working the process out means that like you get to see how it started and how it ended, and I think that's really inherently interesting. Anything else that we should maybe let's define goals for this session up front?
Yeah, love it.
What is the right way to start, given that you know what we're trying to do, which is like come up with big ideas, right? We want to get some big ideas onto a board.
Yeah, so I think let's do this. If we're okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You both have a link to the mural board we're going to be using today.
Yeah.
So I think first of all, as we get into it, Philip and Brian, I think I love that for being a part of the process here, because in many ways, I think the process can be the product, can be the output. It's the way that we go through together with divergent opinions, efficiently prioritize. I think if you can make that process fun, in my opinion, you've done something culturally with teamwork that is truly, truly unique. So I think I'd be one of the people, one of your many future commerce subscribers who does not click through the next 6 minutes. I would stick around because I think this stuff is absolutely gold.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is a virtual collaboration space called Miro for people who don't know. The really simple way to think about it is that it's a digital whiteboard. The more sophisticated way to think about it is it allows people to work together across time and space in a way that feels very co-creative. And it's funny how pre-pandemic, this was a nice plan B because we would always do things in person. Why would you ever do things remotely? How quickly things became plan A. But I digress. So what we're looking at here, like I mentioned, is a board with a little bit of structure, not too much to stifle us, but hopefully to keep us organized. But this activity of doing anchors and sales wouldn't make sense if we didn't have a context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to create a post-it or two here with what you think the goals are for today. So if we could fast forward a half hour, however long the session takes into the future, what do you want to have done? And let's use that as our guidepost to keep us honest for the time we have together today.
Oh wow. I guess I should be less verbose.
You're good. That's one of my feature enhancements I'd like to have Mural is, the beauty of post-its in real life is you can't really put that many words on them.
Yeah, I
And
love that.
well, you can do a million.
I could resize it. That's a constraint of the real world that, that we often miss.
I love
Uh,
it.
uh, can I come up with two?
Yeah, take a couple, and then I'm gonna invite you to both share where you are.
If we get that far, Philip, I'll be happy. uh, oh yeah, okay. That I thought you were going to say we had to pick which ideas we were actually.
No, I
to
just
include.
capture some. I said
Okay.
What are big ideas in the
Yeah.
moment, right?
Yeah.
That
I
doesn't
like
mean
that.
that
So
we got to
yeah.
decide today.
Yes. No. Well, I mean, maybe we do. Let's say that's a stretch goal.
Brian,
which
have we
ideas-
ever decided? Like, you know what I'm so scared of? We're gonna decide on something now, and 3 months from now, we'll be like, nah.
That was a bad idea.
I mean,
You
that's
have
the
to go back
beauty
to
of
the tape and say
it's
why
the
that
beauty
was
of
such a bad idea.
procrastinating. Like, procrastination as a methodology means you get to
That's
be
your bag.
super relevant.
I'm trying not to do that. All right, we
I
did a
know.
couple things. I'm not sure what it was. Did we do a good job, Mike?
Yeah, you nailed it. So do me a quick favor and just read. Maybe Brian, you go first. Read your
Sure.
two, and then
Yes.
Philip, you read your two, and then make sure that you both align on the words making sense. Like, any questions? Do you feel like we're on the same page? If so, let's use that as our guidepost.
Yeah, mine I think is worded the way that it is. So create our best ideas for the coming year. Because I honestly have very little coming into this. Like my last couple of weeks have been insane, and so you're getting raw Brian today. We'll see how
Oh,
this
I
goes.
love that. No, that's
Yeah.
good. I have been capturing things, so I've got
that's
stuff
good.
in my back pocket.
Oh, so I've got nothing in my back pocket. So we'll see how this goes. And then we're going to decide which ideas we're going to include as my stretch goal. I doubt we'll get there, but if we do, that's cool.
We can have like 2 ideas. All right. So for mine, it was capture the big ideas in the moment. So I had a qualifier wrapped in. It's like, there are things I'm thinking of right now that are super important to me right now, but I might go away for the weekend and think of some more. That's okay. And then the other was decide which ideas. I feel like we could look at the ideas, like the topics that we had last year, and we could say just at a glance, those are definitely not coming forward.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think there will be, maybe what we do is we kind of say, what does this mean this year? And then like,
yeah, that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
Part of it.
I love that. I love that. I'm all about that. So so Mike, did we get it right?
Yeah, so I think that's perfect. So we want to be able to capture our big ideas. If we can, we're going to prioritize and choose a couple that might actually be the real ideas that we use. Acknowledging that that's a stretch goal, let's agree to we're gonna have a process for coming up with a bunch of ideas, and then a step for going from many to a few.
Okay.
Whether those are the finals will be up to a future state.
Love
Is
it.
that fair?
Yes.
Love
Okay.
it.
Okay. So what I want to do next is, and I'm going to create space in a minute here, Brian, to pull in the ideas where we left off last year. But I want to describe a couple things as we get into the activity. So you're probably wondering, why in the world are we looking at a very juvenile image of a boat? And this is a simple backdrop for an activity called Anchors in Sails, which basically I'm going to invite the three of us over a 5 to 7 minute period to say, what are the things that are working well based on the context of just think of it as the prompt. And those are the things that are called wind in our sails. And then what are the things that are holding us back in terms of anchors? So in order for this to work, we have to set a little bit of context. And what do you think the context of this activity should be? Should it be the current state of commerce? Should it be the current state of, is a specific industry focus? What do you think is a good way to set the stage for the ideation to start?
I think the ideas from last year are a good place to start, actually. As these are the trends that we saw last time we did this. This is what we're coming out of, and maybe there's some stuff we can add to that, like stuff we missed on last year, because I know there's a lot of that too. But
yeah, I guess let me ask for some clarification, Mike. If we were to take some of these the very discrete topics, let me give you like one of them is like the product eternal, which talks about the state of everything from resale marketplaces to the way that consumers buy things because they're aware of residual value and their ability to sell it later on, right? So it changes the way that we buy things, how we engage with each other. So if I put that somewhere on here, is that like just gaming that out a little bit? If I think that has future potential, or is something that is still viable, I'm thinking of that as a sale, or is it more meta than that? Is it more, or the current economic environment or inflation might be an anchor? Like these, I'm not sure what. Okay, so
yeah, so that's this is what I think. I think having the ideas from last year up here to the side will be a good reference point.
okay.
But I think to say one of those ideas and treat it as an anchor in a sale is kind of tough, because then you're looking at the output and not the process that we took to get there. Like I would imagine Product Eternal or things like the metaverse, like those came from either a great opportunity that we see in the world today, or something that maybe more or less optimistic that had to be reframed into a really good idea.
Okay.
So I think let's use last year's as a backdrop, and then maybe we just say like the state of commerce today, and then the activity we're going to do is what are the things that are working well and that we're excited about with commerce? Those are sales. And then what are the things that maybe be a little bit less exciting? And those are anchors. And we're going to have an opportunity to either just take those sales as they are and treat those as good ideas, or reframe those negatives into maybe something positive that then could open up space to create a new.
I'm so there.
Got it.
I know exactly what anchors and sales are now.
I think some of these are going to fall into both camps.
Oh, for sure, right?
Like if I write NFTs on a sticky note, can I put that on the anchor and the sale?
Yeah, totally.
NFTs are a thing. They're not. I
know
see them.
They're not a current.
But I can see that. Like there are, depending on how you look at. I like that actually. I think it's a good example as a shorthand for both things. Okay, are we setting a timer? What are we doing?
Let's do it. Okay, so my question for you all is: do you want to have the ideas from last year up here? If so, we can create post-its for them, or if you have them handy. Okay.
Yeah. I've got them handy. I've got them right here. I can bang them out real quick. We don't have to even think about it.
Beautiful.
Right.
I have them up too, but I'm going to let you do them all because otherwise we'll get confused.
All right. The maximalism. If you're listening to this, you're going to have a bad time. You need to watch this. Entertainment. This is where Brian's like, but I sold a podcast, Philip.
That's true.
You know me too well. A podcast. The Product Eternal.
I mean, in the absolute spirit of transparency, I'm looking over here because I'm bumping another meeting out right now. We got started late, so this could take a little longer than it.
Brian, you're always double booking yourself, brother.
I am.
I have to say, as a consumer of the future commerce material, you both have a very excellent way with words. I think the way these are phrased is like simple. Yet also it makes the reader a bit curious to learn more. So
geez, thank you.
It's cool. It's very cool.
They're also just vague enough for us to claim that we were right about something else later on.
Totally.
We were though.
Art. It's like it's the right altitude, right?
That's exactly right. I love that. That's great. I'll take it. Okay, I've got the last one: capitalism in the digital commons, and then we have convergence of the meta and the physical. This is where we just claim
we didn't mean to influence Facebook, but we did.
We can't help that Zuck sends me barbecue sauce in the mail. That happened. He sent me barbecue sauce.
It did happen. Somebody named Zuckerberg sent you
Somebody
barbecue
from Springfield sent me something labeled from Mark Zuckerberg to my house. All right, that's not creepy at all. But he knows everything about me, so what does it matter? Mark,
I'm sure that Mike actually has a house in Springfield. That actually kind of makes sense to me.
Zuck has a house in Springfield. Is that where he does his wakeboard training in the spring?
Yeah, it's Lake of the Ozarks.
That's
I have so many questions. All
right, we've got the things on the side.
Okay, so before we jump into the activity, I want to first do something that's very important for meetings of all shapes and sizes these days, is to celebrate the progress.
Oh my gosh! I love
man,
we have last year. We're taking credit and celebrating last year's idea. It's amazing. We have a clear set of goals for what we want to accomplish, and we have a context to do an activity. So that in and of itself is progress. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll set the timer for 5 minutes. If
Okay.
we need more, you just chat here. I can add a couple more on, and I'm going to invite you. I'm going to participate as well to do one idea per post-it on the current state of commerce, the things that you're excited about, things that are working well, think optimistic, and then some things that maybe could be a drag, could be holding us back. Put those below the surface of the water.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, let's
Yep.
go.
Okay, ready, set, begin.
Brian.
I said I was gonna do it. Wait, pink. How did I get pink? Whoops. Oh well. Can I write this? This is an every year problem.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I should have said rule number 1, and you can choose to break the rule because you are the bosses. Is together alone, no talking.
Oh, okay. No talking.
I don't know if
Okay.
that's possible.
Silence. This is in silence.
I'm gonna sit here and just comment on all of Brian's.
That's fair.
Okay. All right.
Mm.
Whoa.
How did I get a pink one up here? Let's try that again. Mm.
Oh. Option click is a duplication. Me like.
That's a hack. Also, when you're inside a post-it, if you just press tab, it creates a new post-it.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, that's
I love those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I'm irrationally energized by that. What is this thing called? The vibe shift. I'm not allowed to comment, but you put vibe shift and I couldn't not. Did you read the whole piece?
Yeah, I
Brian?
did.
Okay.
I did.
It's a great piece.
That's a great piece.
For those unaware, there's the article in the cut called "A Vibe Shift is Coming," and the first half of it is nobody can explain what it is, though.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
But we all know it's coming. Wind in my sails, the death of skinny jeans. No, I'm just kidding.
Kinda.
I love it. That deserves an emoji.
No doubt.
Okay, we got about a minute left. How do you feel on time? Do you feel like you have a good group here, or you want?
Yeah, we got some good
I
stuff.
mean, yeah,
really.
there might be more as. Can we add more
Yeah.
as we're talking?
Totally.
Because I feel like that's
No,
gonna
this
happen.
is it forever, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, this is structure. This is structure. Boundaries.
The end all be all.
I love that I've forgotten which ones I typed because they're all in a grid. Darn it.
Yeah, a little Easter egg for you here is the little ping that'll happen in 10 seconds once the timer's up should remind you very specifically of something. I just woke up from a flight.
That was
Oh,
the
God.
flight.
That is.
That's it.
It
That
was
was
the
the
bing
ding.
bong. Bing
You
bong.
did it. Okay. So step number 2. We're having entirely too much fun.
I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. Okay, so step number 2, we have a lot of good ideas, which is awesome. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to invite each person one at a time to read the words on your Post-it.
Okay.
My ask is, it's not meant to be a soliloquy. It is to say what it is. And if anyone has any questions, it's not a point of debate, but the question is, do we understand the words coming out of your mouth? If it's like, yes, I get what that means. Because the whole point is, once we're done, I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes and we're going to vote on these. So we're going to have, say, 5 digital dots and you're going to pick your favorite ideas that really resonate with you.
Okay.
We're going to carry them forward.
Where are we starting and how do I know which ones are mine?
I think you just, whatever you think are yours, you read them.
Okay, I'm just
I
trying to
don't
put
even
stuff
know.
around here. Okay, we're good.
Okay, so let's go clockwise. So whoever's our top left, are those yours, Phillips?
Those are
mine.
Brian's.
They're Brian's. Okay, let's read Brian yours, and let's do just your sales, and then we'll go the next sales. I'll do sales, and I'll do anchors, and then round it out along the bottom here.
Love it.
Cool.
Okay, so what are we excited about in the current state of
Maybe
commerce?
zoom in just a hair, Mike, so we can get a better. There we go. Yeah,
How's that feel? Good.
go for it.
So the metaverse, I'm not excited about the term the metaverse, but the idea that there's like a deeper engagement with online. There's sort of a world that mirrors our world. That's all focused, in digital. And it's an extension of the real world, or the real world's an extension of it. Is an idea that's finally kind of picking up some mainstream traction, which is cool. The generational transfer of wealth. I feel like boomers are actually aging out of the workforce, and they're finally spending all that money they saved up, and they're having to spend a lot of it because of inflation. And so things and promotions are happening in workplaces. People are leaving because they can go get jobs because like older generation vacated. And so I think we're finally seeing like a lot of that shift in money from boomers to younger generations. Maybe still skipping Gen X. No, Gen X is doing better. They're doing better than they were, I think. Energy tech advancements. That was yours, Philip, I think.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. Maturing of commerce focused tech. I feel like, a lot of what we thought of as emerging technology is actually becoming enterprise technology now. You were looking at like Shopify. Shopify is no longer a challenger in any way. This is, it's a pretty mature platform with a pretty like storied history at this point. And there's a lot of new entrants into the space as a result, challenging e-com platforms, challenging marketing platforms. Commerce focused tech it's getting cheaper and it's getting better, and it's getting merged into single environments, and it's being split up, and it's all happening at once. So I feel like that's it used to be very scrappy, and it feels less scrappy than it was. Consumer acceptance of new ideas. I feel like current generations are absorbing things all the time. They're ready to try new things. They're ready to, like, it feels like there's no permanence to anything. Things that used to be like a huge moment only lasts, like now, like something that's a week-long trend feels like a pretty huge moment because it hits so many people at once. And I think of piggy dipping in the piggy pond.
Piggy dipping. Piggy dipping.
Exactly. which Philip wrote an entire census about. And you were like, this is a big deal. And it was a really big deal. A lot of people saw it in
For
a
like a
very
minute.
short amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it was over because people accept things and then they move on to new things. And so it's moving really fast right now. And Vive shipped. And so I put this in here because one of that article, but also I do believe that we're moving out of kind of a current. We're about to move into a new vibe. I want to figure out what that vibe is as a part of this process, but like there was, if you go read the article that was in the cut, it was like indie, then it was like hype beast, then it was like super serious and everything super intense all the time, and now like in that article they're like maybe we're going to like dirtbag indie. I don't know if that's true or not, but like
Brian is here for dirtbag indie. Just kidding.
Oh yeah. The vibe shift means opportunity to catch a cultural trend early, and I think that's about to happen.
We have never done this, and it's like I could just spend an hour talking about your 5 so far. So
Yeah.
let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
Well,
I mean, that's like 20 podcasts worth of content right there by
That is.
itself.
Yeah.
This is secretly your backlog for like eternity.
It is actually. This is
Well, that's
fantastic.
why we came up with that's exactly what happened with Visions last time. We like came up with all this awesome stuff, and it was like, well, I guess we're just going to talk about this for the rest of the year.
Amazing.
All right.
Okay, well done, Brian. Any questions for Brian? Do those all make sense, Philip? Those
make sense. And I needed a little bit more from Brian on at least one of those, so I appreciated the deeper dive. I'm going to keep it short.
Cool.
I think there's a resurgence in organized labor, which is really interesting, and it's starting at like Starbucks, but it's kind of proliferating everywhere. I think that's a really interesting moment for us because we've kind of moved away from organized labor. Our U.S. economic policy seems very favorable to crypto and could be an opportunity for the United States to continue to have, at least the appearance or the self-importance of exceptionalism that we carry around with us, and potentially, I don't know, just favorable all around for digital currency. Supply chain modernization, some really interesting things happening there, especially around automation. We don't have the port automation that other countries do, especially in, say, like Singapore. But the current anchors that we'll get to, I think, could renew some investment there, is renewing investment there, and we're seeing a lot of venture flow into supply chain modernization right now.
Great.
Energy tech, I think, is a really big deal. And something we're not talking enough about, like all of the problems that we have in especially around climate, are solved if we had, an infinite energy hack, clean infinite energy. And it sounds like there's some development in fusion that might actually bear that out in our lifetime. That could be really interesting to think about. Liquidity. There are just today alone, or in the last 48 hours, 4 big venture funds announced almost $12 billion in new funding, new funds created just in the last 48 hours alone. So we still are in a moment of extreme liquidity. Those funds have to be deployed in the next 24 months. That means we're going to continue to see entrepreneurship invested in and continued and furthered in the world. And that's really important.
Well, I feel like that's his own like sticky is just like the entrepreneurial environment that we're in right now, because it's real.
Okay. Well, we can, that's also one of the stickies over here, right? Isn't that what this is? Brands in the widening class schism. That was
that's true.
Undercurrent here is of entrepreneurship.
You're right. Keep going.
Okay. Consumer price sensitivity. I feel like we're less sensitive to price changes than we ever have been, and mostly because we're in a high inflation environment, so things are kind of moving around a lot. That can be really interesting for brands who are trying to figure out, consumer price testing. I see a lot of that happening right now. I think that's really interesting. Space commerce, believe it or not, is U.S. Department of Space Commerce. It's a real thing. Bucket list. We're going to have Gina Raimondo on the podcast this year. It's not going to happen yet, but it will happen because I'm manifesting it. The U.S. Commerce Secretary, by the way, for those uninitiated. And then we're incredibly resilient. This generation, the people who are alive right now, are adapting to tech like never before. It's not years to adopt something; it's months. And it's shocking how quickly people are shifting tech around. It used to be who moved my cheese on my Facebook feed, and now we're just changing things all the time. And we're really resilient to it, and I think that that's really powerful. So, did you just move these into an FC?
Sure did.
Son of a gun. All right.
I mean, that makes me happier than it ever should. I was wondering at first, I'm like, who has a little bit of a twitch here? But however, it's working beautifully. Okay, you nailed it. And Philip, I appreciate that you described space commerce, because I assumed you meant like physical space.
No, yeah,
That's
it's
an
outer
role.
space, freaking
Yeah,
outer
yeah.
space commerce. There's a literal U.S. Department of Commerce division that's focused on trying to solve supply chain issues and even matters of national defense in our supply chain around low Earth orbit. So I'm here for it. Let's talk about it.
Love it. Okay,
All right.
well done. I'm going to rip through mine really quickly. I added
Please.
a couple, and I'll describe in a minute.
Cool.
I'll be quick, but make sure they all make sense to you. Okay, so immersive experiences is, in my opinion, a synonym for the metaverse. We could get into a whole diatribe around what's the difference, how do they work. What I want to say here is there's an abundance of emerging technology that people are adopting at a very fast pace that makes me very excited about the future of commerce and just engagement in general. That's kind of part and parcel to touch points. There's even just a couple years ago, things like voice or AR or VR or connected devices felt like a very far off on the horizon opportunity. I feel like people are adopting these at such a fast pace that it's real. How we need to figure out how to make these feel cohesive and amazing. Explosive growth of digital. What I meant by that is, everyone knows the statistics on how many more transactions have occurred online due to the pandemic. I think we have this is a moment for commerce that we really need to nail. Philip, this one should make you laugh. I had to put marketplaces with an exclamation point. I have an unhealthy obsession with the marketplace business model, and marketplaces are having their moment as well. Both big marketplaces like Amazon's and Walmart's who continue to do amazing things, but also individual brands creating their own enterprise marketplaces, which I think is fascinating.
Love that.
I'm psyched about super apps, and this kind of goes into the next one. Because super apps, at least in my lizard brain, we are drawing on what people in other parts of the world do to connect and to live through digital means, like whether it's WeChat in China, the list goes on and on and on. And I feel like we are learning from each other digitally in a way that feels very good. We're now adopting things that, at least in America, that other countries are doing, and I think vice versa. And like that makes me really happy. I think we could do something more there. The rise of the conscious shopper. I think shopping has now become not just a race to the bottom with price, although that's still a very big driver, but people now give a what about where things are being made and how they're being made and how, whether you want to support the purpose and the ethics of a brand. And I think that's amazing. There's never been access to more data, like at this point, than any time in history, and it's only going to get better. So the sales for us is how do we put that data to use to deliver better experiences? And the last two that I thought of while you guys were talking, so you inspired me on these two, the dispersion of commerce tech. What I mean by that is it's like everything as a service. And when you were reading yours, Brian, around like the modernization of commerce, like how I compartmentalized that was we went from like monolithic to headless to microservices. Now it's like we have so many Lego blocks that are available. How can we put those together in super unique and customized, purposeful ways?
Well, and it's happening too already. Like a lot of the like brands that had like some of the early platforms are rolling stuff up again. So, and in like really meaningful ways.
As a total aside, Mike, do you remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, like everybody was talking about like mashups? You remember this? Mashups were like the thing. Yeah. Like
did you ever hear that? Was it Snoop Dogg's Drop It Like It's Hot mixed with Kirby's theme? That was the best ever.
So we'll roll that at the end of this episode.
Now I know what I'm doing immediately after this.
Sorry, carry on, Mike.
Okay. Last one is focus on frontline worker, FLW. There's this.
I love that. Yeah.
There's this resurgence on like, at the end of the day, employees are businesses' most important asset. And I feel like it took the craziness of a pandemic to go, hold on, we need to care about these people and run our experiences through them. Their ability to deliver experiences to customers is really what gets people to be loyal and to engage. So
Wait, Mike, were supposed to write the trends that we saw coming? Because I feel like that kind of is one. There's more, there's a lot more to come here. I didn't realize this was like the moment to like, are we writing our trends now? Or like,
no, this is the environment. It's the environment, but it's kind of hard to divorce the two things from each other.
Yeah, you just plot things on there. Yeah. If you're inspired, like go back to your group and like add a couple more. Like no worries. And if you need,
no. I meant like, is this like, when do we get to the future looking trends? Because like, this is the environment we're in. When do we get to like, okay, here's what's coming?
Yeah,
that's next.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we're going to talk about the things that we're less excited about. We're going to then vote on these, both the positives that we want to carry forward or negatives that we want to reframe. And then we can use that as a backdrop to go, are these things that we can then reframe or rewrite into trends, or things that we can relate new trends onto? So think of like, we need to create a foundation to then come up with these amazing ideas. And we're using the current state, what we love about the current state to be that foundation.
Got it. Okay.
That.
Cool.
That foundation might have some like pass fail criteria or something against it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Which like might be in part 2 if we decide to do a part 2. So.
Okay. So there might be a little bit of working backwards here for me, because I think I have some trends that we haven't captured current wins on. So maybe that's maybe that's my like misunderstanding of some of this. But anyway, let's keep going.
Well, it could be sympathy, like it could be reverse.
Reverse engineered.
Both ways, which is
totally.
You have a trend in mind and you failed to capture what the environment is that created the opportunity.
I think that's right. Yep.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Mike.
Keep going. No.
We're
learning.
Processing.
We're learning.
You
First
are
time.
doing amazing. Now I'm inspired and creating a very simple exclamation point. Okay.
I love it. I love it so much.
So now let's take a minute and reflect on, we can be quick here on the things that we're less optimistic about currently. And let's just continue to go clockwise. I'll go and then pass it over to Philip. So the rich get richer. By this, I meant like Amazon, especially with their e-commerce marketplace, just continues to dominate. And I think, although that's great for them, I think it poses a lot of challenges for everybody else. Inflation, don't need to explain that. What I'm excited about is in-person is coming back, but I'm less excited about how slowly I think we all, if you reflect a year ago, where we are right now, like I thought we'd be past a lot of the stuff and we're clearly not. So like, it feels like it's dragging on. And then inspired by, let's see, the Jason and Scott show podcast, if you guys listen to that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they're amazing. Their reframe of supply chain into supply pain is an anchor. So.
Yep. I do a killer Jason Goldberg, by the way.
Oh, wow. So I used to work with Jason at Razorfish back in the day.
You did?
Nice.
I've now built it up a little more than I should, but it's welcome to the Jason and Scott show. That's how I do Jason Goldberg. That's
very good. It's very good. It's really good.
It's very good. I'm gonna work on it just a little bit more.
Hold on. Was that Jason or Scott?
That was Jason. That was
Jason.
Welcome to the Jason and Scott show.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Jason Retail Geek Goldberg. No, you
Pretty
can tell.
Good.
You can only have that sort of level of depth in the impersonation if you truly admire the person on the receiving end. Sorry. Okay, my section. I didn't realize I'm sitting here wasting time. I said inflation as well. Okay. The Facebook and IDFA. Don't you steal mine? That's
mine. No, I wrote that. I absolutely did.
Is
Political
it?
and
I had to make it
environment.
bigger. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Yes. You're trying to take my stuff.
I'm sorry. Okay. So I said inflation. I said apathy towards big tech, meaning I think people are increasingly suspicious of companies like Facebook, and we're seeing that bear out. Supply chain backup, which we already discussed, and then the Facebook IDFA issues. I think we have not seen the worst of this yet. If the pain that every other sector, including lots of sectors, are blaming Facebook's or blaming Apple for this change, and if it's hurting Facebook, then it must be hurting other industries, and we just haven't seen it bear out yet. And so I think the small business owner in particular is extremely hurt by the lack of access to a qualified audience to buy goods that Facebook provided, unfettered access to. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. I think that's a big anchor on e-commerce. So,
I love it.
Brian.
NFTs are killing our environment. And also there's a lot of just so much hype and so much noise around crypto and NFTs that it actually could create a problem.
But I can fix this for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Boom.
Okay.
I covered the problem up with Sorry, go ahead.
It doesn't fix the hype problem, but yes.
Yeah, that's very disgusting.
There's a mess. There's a mess out there.
Okay, yeah.
Legacy tech continues to be a problem, and it's like a real problem. Investment in old tech, like we just keep integrating with it instead of replacing it. And so I actually think there's still a lot of transformation left to accomplish, which is expensive, and it's going to leave some companies in the hurt locker. So that's one thing still left. And then old ideas just constantly being recycled and reframed. I just feel like this is continually happening all the time. There's stuff we've been talking about since the inception of this show that I feel like just gets reframed continually, or just doesn't get moved on at all as well. Like it's like we keep talking about omnichannel, and there's still a lot of like stuff about omnichannel that's not real. It's kind of ridiculous, and to the point where the word never really meant anything. I mean, it did, but now it's like it's almost worse. Like we should.
Can I add an anchor? Can I add an anchor of Brian's cynicism around omnichannel being the biggest anchor here?
I was just going to add that as a sale.
Oh, okay. Is it?
Yeah.
Brian's cynicism around omnichannel. I love it.
What's really funny about omnichannel, just in 2 seconds or less, is now we're just calling it unified.
Right. Well,
harmonized.
They're a little different. Like I get it, but to 9.5 out of 10 people, it's the same thing.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I digress. That's another podcast idea.
It is.
Oh, that's a great podcast idea. Mike, we might have to spin off a whole show just around you, brother. Oh my gosh. All right.
I mean, no one will subscribe to it, but if that's not what we're after, then it doesn't matter. Okay.
It's okay. Nobody subscribes to this either. You're fine.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do this.
Wait. Last one. I have one more.
Oh,
last one's the international political environment, and I believe that this is a really big deal. Actually, the Ukraine situation, relations with China. I hope that, and the stagnation of the political machine.
I can't shake my head any worse. Brian, stop listening to state-run media. All right, let's. Just kidding. All right.
Okay. So let's do this. So first of all, excellent job. You zoom out, a lot of good stuff here. And what I want to do next is we're gonna do a 3-minute voting session.
Okay.
Where I'm gonna give everybody let's say 5 digital dots. And what I'm gonna invite you to do is to put your dots on the ideas, either positives or negatives that you want to reframe, that you want to carry forward to be jumping off points for not all of, but some of the trends that we see here. Okay. So I haven't started the post-it or the noting thing yet. But yes, Brian has a question.
What's a digital dot?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So if you're looking at my screen, there's one of the cool things about Mural, and I'm a huge fan of this, if I haven't already said that. There's a thing called a voting session, where if you look at my screen, we're going to do anchors and sales will be the name of this voting thing. And each person's going to get 3, or going to get 5, sorry. And you're going to be able to vote on just the sticky notes. And basically what you're going to do is by clicking on a sticky note, you're giving one of your 5 to that. You can put all 5 on one note if you're really excited about it, or you can split them up evenly. And the reason why we're doing this is to go from, this is just a smattering of ideas. Now let's call it down to a few that we're excited about to carry forward into ideation. So I'm going to click start. When I click start, you should see this little voting session running.
Okay.
You see that?
Okay. I see it. Do I get to see other people's votes as they're placing them?
You do not.
Okay. All right.
So after 2 minutes, the timer will go off, and I'll watch just in case you guys get done quicker than that. Then there'll be a nice little summary. We'll talk about the summary and then wrap up for today.
Fantastic.
Does that work?
Love it.
Okay, so you vote by clicking, you shift and click to unvote, and your voting is anonymous.
Got it.
Ready, set, go.
Mike, which was the one that was like building blocks and I said mashup something or other?
Dispersion of commerce tech.
Okay.
Dispersion, yeah. Ooh, only having 5 is tough.
Yeah, you couldn't make it like 6 or 7.
I know. That's the problem.
If it's a group, I can't actually vote on it, right?
You should be able to if you click. Is it not letting you do one of the groups?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay, just hold that thought, and I have a way to hack that out.
All good. Oh. Hold on. You need to increase the time because my page refreshed. I'm sorry.
You're good. Add as much time as you'd like.
I'm done.
All right. I think I'm done.
Okay. We good here?
I think we're good.
Let's stop it, and then I will end the voting session. Drum roll, please. Okay, so can you see the summary
Yeah.
on your screen? Okay. Now realize that, so apathy towards big tech, there is at least one there. Okay, so let's just look at these real quick, and let's just talk if there's any surprises, anything that we think are missing. So with 3 votes, we have super apps and consumer acceptance of new ideas. Any surprises with those 2?
I'm very surprised that super apps got voted, and
Same.
yeah, but I'd like to unpack it a little bit at some future state too.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are in the 2 vote count. Everything from dispersion of tech to new organized labor movement. I have to say, I voted for Vibe Shift. That's just too intriguing for me not to want to learn more about. If I could have put all 5 on there, I probably would have. But I think this is a good, in my humble opinion, like that's a good cross section of things that we can be excited about that also represent, I think, fertile ground to ideate. What do you guys think?
I'm in love with it. Woo! We've never had a structure for this kind of thing before, and it's actually really refreshing.
It is.
Okay, and then we have on the bottom, there's at least one anchor, which I'm really glad that that's there. So apathy towards big tech. Then we have a couple positives in price sensitivity and policy towards crypto. The reason why I like that apathy towards big tech is there is that I think the challenge and opportunity for you 2 smart people driving visions is like, how do you take that and reframe that into maybe not a positive, but something like a little bit more inspirational that can really be seen as a trend. So this feels like a really good smattering. So my question for you guys is, do we feel like this is let's go back to where we started today, which is ideas. Now, realizing that, let's zoom in here for a sec. So capture the big ideas in the moment, create the best ideas for the coming year. I think what we did more of is create the foundation for those ideas. But also, I mean, you guys tell me, do some of those that look upvoted, like, could those be the kernels of the ideas themselves, or do you think
Some of them?
Oh, 100%. Oh gosh, yeah. And
I
there
don't
was
think
stuff
that
I hadn't
they're.
even thought of that, came out here.
Yeah, I don't think they actually are, but I do believe that they will be significant. Like they will significantly influence the trends.
Love it. Well, guys, I mean, this feels like a good place to pause. And I don't know if, like, maybe if we could do another session, either like another recording or whatever, kind of taking these and then kind of building them out into structure, like that could be fun. You guys,
Yeah, I think we need at least 2 more sessions. One to like actually start building the trends, and one to like start to talk about what that means for how we represent those trends.
I agree with that too. I think also, if we can find if we could space it out to some degree where we're like, maybe you and I are just kind of workshopping them, and because that's the thing I get the most energy out of Brian in Vision in the past, is us kind of not necessarily arguing, but like
we're fleshing it out. Yeah, totally.
Case, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's sometimes we push into arguey, but mostly it's all very, very just like how do we dive deeper and like down to the core of something, and like question.
So I have an idea, and you let me know how this sounds. Oh, you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you notice across the top here, there's 4 black Post-its: collect and choose and create and commit. We did collecting ideas and choosing ideas. What if ahead of the create portion, what if I created a format for you guys to come up with trends either inspired by these Post-its or by others, and you do that as pre-work, and then we spend our next session, you guys talking through them, having a healthy debate, and then committing to what we think like the core subset of those ideas could look like.
Yeah, I'm into that.
I like that. It gives us a little time to think about things, and we just need to put a deadline on it. That will help.
Everything needs to have a deadline.
It
Do it next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, awesome. I'm gonna do another celebration.
Woo!
Love it.
The celebrations are fun.
I'm so unbelievably, like, this energized me at the end of the week. I needed
Oh my
this.
gosh, I know.
I feel like
Friday.
we did
Yes,
something
please.
this week.
I know.
Big, it's great. Do you mind popping off screen share, Mike? We will we'll do that. So we're gonna get the next one scheduled. We're gonna regroup. You'll give us some instructions around like any pre-work, and I'm gonna use pre-work with air quotes. Maybe there's a session that Brian and I can hop on real quick and hash out some of this in public. But I'm I couldn't be happier with how this went, because this is I think the thing that's kind of been lacking for some time is really, it's just the way that we've gotten to the way we've done it in the past didn't really have a structure. It was more us kind of arguing our way into submission. It was like, who could filibuster the other, long enough to say, listen, these 5 are mine. Okay.
No, it's better than that. You're describing it. It was much better than that. But like, yes, it was like a lot of like, hey, like, here's my idea. What do you think about this? And like poke holes in it until we kind of landed on stuff. So yeah, it was good. It was, I feel like we can still do some of that, Philip. It still has to happen.
This actually like captures a really important moment in time wherein we have to then do the work of, okay, well, what actually signals something that's coming or will become, as given all of these anchors and sails. Love it. Mike Edmonds, what an incredible experience. Thank you so much for doing it. We'll have you back. And where can people find you online? Can they hit you up on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, Mike Edmonds. I'm only Michael if I'm in trouble, so please call me Mike. But guys, honestly, had where I started the conversation today, really inspired by the work you guys put into the world. Appreciate being a part of it, and looking forward to seeing where this all nets up.
Thank you so much. And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Awesome.